Alright guys, welcome back to another episode on the Subi Sanctuary here. This is a pretty unique specimen. So it's a 2008 plus, I don't know exactly what year, STI with something rather interesting under the hood. This is a really cool car. It was wrapped. Prior to being wrapped, someone had painted it, and for whatever reason, when they removed the wrap, it took most of the paint with it. So the owner has done some sanding work to try and get off the gooey paint. And now my job is to clean this all up because it's gone down to metal in a lot of places, and this is like going to be really inconsistent. If you wrap or paint, you're going to see all that. I'm going to resume sanding the car down to try and level off what I have here, and then I'm going to follow up with some high build primer. Then I'm going to wet sand over that, try and get it nice and smooth, and then we are doing a complete color change on this. This is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to get to some sanding now and bring you guys along for the ride as we go. Alright, here we are back with all the parts. They've been feathered out now, any of the blemishes, and now we have on them a pretty thick filler primer. So what we'll do from here is run a guide coat over all of them, and then we will block sand from there and make sure there's nothing left to fill or correct. And then we are ready to do the same on the body and paint it. letting the body dry a bit. We've determined, because of the sealer primer we use, let me see if I can capture this, the base and the clear have sunk a bit. Alright, so I'm stopping myself there for a second just to inject this little clip now that I know what I know. So looking back, I am an amateur painter. I don't know everything, and I don't know enough that when things go wrong, how wrong they have actually gone. So I know previously I had blamed the sealer primer for the sinking of the paint. Unknowing to me at the time, it was actually something that was wrong with the filler primer itself. So once we got into this car, we actually took a piece to like a professional veteran painter and had him diagnose what exactly happened. It was the filler primer, something went wrong with it, or it was mixed incorrectly, and ultimately the sinkage that I saw after spraying the car was the filler primer was still essentially wet or full of solvents for whatever reason, and the paint was drawn into it. So even after we flow coated the car, which looked okay, and then after we wet sanded it and began to polish, was then when we saw that actually the base coat under the clear coat had orange peel. So that's when it becomes unacceptable and unfixable other than stripping it down. The crazy part is we had to get every square inch of that filler primer off of the car to correct this. So this has been a mission. I'm jumping forward into the future now. The car is almost completely redone again. And what a time I had doing it. So I'm gonna cut back to the regular vid here, guys, and you can follow along for the great journey. This has enough clear coat that it could just be cut and polished, but I feel it is easier to, sand it down. All I'm doing is sanding the clear, nothing beyond that, and then re-clear it. I mean, from this stage, I could go up into a higher grit on my sandpaper and polish it, but I'm going to clear coat it instead. So I don't know how well you can see the orange peel, but it's there. So this is pretty tedious stuff. It's not really any different than if you were just doing a cut and polish. So there is a door all sanded. How I'm doing it is 800 grit. From here, I just, mask the windows and the rest of the stuff and do another couple coats of clear. I've done the whole roof. Don't mind this and this. They're actually like welding spatter on the lens of my camera. So I'm waiting for a new lens. And yeah, now I'm gonna get into this door here. On camera, I feel it doesn't look as bad as it actually is, but you can see the light there. It's not as crisp as it should be. I don't know if this will show, no reflection, but you can tell because there's no more shininess on the surface. This is completely flat. So I'm gonna get into this one, show you guys a little demo, and then carry on with the rest of the car, which will probably take me a week, but I'll give you a demo of how I do it anyway. So first, with some soapy water and a wash mitt, it's really important to keep your bucket clean doing this. And this is to try and get off any dust or stuff that's on the paint, because if it gets between your sandpaper and the finish, then you'll end up like dragging, deep swirls throughout it. So now I'm just using a chamois for a dry, and this also helps pull anything off of the surface. And then we've got 800 wet sandpaper. Make sure there's nothing on your sandpaper again, because it will end up giving you swirls in your sanding. So you get a little hit on that, and we'll start on the top here. Sometimes working from the bottom up is better, because then your debris, let's say, isn't falling further onto your stuff, but I just keep washing as I go. will give you a really good idea of how the orange peel actually is. So you can see they're almost flat. I mean, when you go into there, obviously, yeah, that's flat. This is just some water spatter. So further. So all these little shiny spots are low spots. And what we've started to turn matte is the flattening of the clear coat. And I think I've done 2 more sessions there. So let's dry it off and see what we're working with. So getting pretty good. You can still see a little bit on the bottom there. So I'm going to continue working on that and work my way down the door. Here we are after another pass. This should be it. So yeah, that is the result we're looking for. I always like to do it like, you know, a small section at a time. The reason I put tape there is so the sandpaper doesn't hit the edge of the other panel. Again, if you burn through there, you get to repaint your panel. So as you can see, I've started to go along the edge and start to feather down, and then I'm gonna work on this section. And then below that, there's a little bit of a body line here. As you can see, I was able to handle it there. But to start out, for my first bit of cutting, I did put tape on this so that I didn't keep running over it. And then as my finale, and same with like the door handle spot, I'll do that all by hand. Here we are all sanded and masked up. So I'm gonna go over the car now, give it a final wipe, wet the floor down, and then go over with a tack cloth, make sure I got everything, and we are ready to clear. Here we are back and out of the booth after the flow coat. As you can see, it did pretty well. It's really decent finish. This was my first time trying a flow coat, so there was definitely a bit of a learning curve. The car is so slick when you're putting it on. I had a couple runs here and there, a little bit of a sag, but nothing that I can't wet sand and polish out. So from here, the car is gonna go back to the owner to be assembled, and then I will get a nice video of it all back together, and we'll probably have the polishing done by then. You can see there, that little guy is a run. So I've just razored it flat, but it's too fresh to start polishing. So we're gonna stop here. The car is gonna get assembled, and then we will give you the final walk around. I mean, this is now like 6 coats of clear, so it's a non-metallic color, but it is really deep and very glossy. With the Corvette swapped STI here, so I have gone around, as you can see, and I've de-nibbed any nibs. Then we've gone 1500, 2000, 3000 on the wet sanding, so we got a really nice slick surface here. I'm just gonna finish up on the roof. So what I'm gonna do first, see something like that, that. They're not everywhere, but this is a good concentration. So these are nibs. So first we're gonna flatten those out with 1000 and then work our way up in the grit, and she'll be ready for a polish. And there we are, all finished. Everything up to 3000. And as far as the, stuff you're gonna sand, it is orange peel free and ready for polish. Hey, we're back here with the LS swapped STI. Since the last time you've seen it, when it was wet sanded, now we have begun the polishing, and it is going horribly. We have a mega issue here. Not even sure where to start with the issue, but after half a year since this was painted, for some reason, the paint, the clear coat, the primer is still soft. You can just get your fingernails under it and just peel the paint off. So from here, it was only this quarter, this door, and the discovery of a chip up here that we started to pick away at that we found the problem. Originally, you know, with this much time gone by, we would never think to like fingernail into the clear coat because it just shouldn't be soft by now, but it's still soft. So anywhere that you jam your fingernails in, it is sinking. How are we gonna fix this? We are gonna have to pretty much take everything down to bare metal and start from scratch. Shit. All right, guys, so we're gonna dig into this and start to take the car back apart and begin stripping everything down to bare metal. So we're gonna end the video here. Originally, this was supposed to be like a surprise video in doing the car in the first place, and oh my God. Yeah, this is not awesome. We're out till the next one. Hopefully we bounce back on this.